Can I say my point about Taylor Swift?
Go ahead.
Yes,
All right.
yes, yes, yes.
Shut up, Moose. You're fucking gay.
Okay. So
Moose shit.
Welcome, Moose Shit, where we spout bullshit. My name is Moose, and I'm joined by my diligent drivers, Kub and Al. How are you guys doing today?
awesome.
We couldn't use that to describe you because you're not a diligent driver.
So funny.
Why you gotta ruin it, man? You know that was a good one.
I was driving pretty well yesterday under very stressful conditions with the rain and everything, so I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know, Moose. So, like, I don't know why that's even a point. You could say you're the best fucking driver when I'm not there, but I'm not gonna believe it because anytime I get in your car, my life is at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I mean, it could just then maybe correlation equals causation there. Maybe it's because you guys distract me a lot.
Maybe you're just not a diligent driver.
Yeah, wouldn't a diligent driver like just be able to still focus on the road despite having distractions in the car?
I mean, it depends on how severe the distractions are.
Are we really that severe? I don't think we ever like are really bugging out in the car like that. The most we're doing is just like talking. I mean, and hitting Alex, but I don't know how that's distracting you.
Okay, let's move on. I don't want to. We'll talk about it in
That's fine.
the driving episode if that episode ever comes out. How you guys doing past week? Today was daylight savings.
And I was early.
Ooh.
And I was early. 3 minutes early, in fact, right, Alex?
Well, the thing is that daylight savings is not really something that usually most people like take by surprise. Usually, it's something that people like know beforehand. It's on the calendar, like forever beforehand. So it's usually
I'm,
something that you can
no,
see and
I'm
know
not gonna
about.
lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, in all honesty, I had no idea. Like when I figured out was in the middle of like the second to last fight. My boy was just sitting next to me, and he just looks up and he goes, "Did you guys know it's daylight savings?" And I was like, "What?" And then all of us, like the whole room, was just like nobody knew that it was daylight savings today. It was kind of funny actually, but yeah, really had no idea. I always know the other one, like this was daylight savings time ending, right? Or is it
No, starting.
starting? And then I always know when it ends because that's when you get an hour of sleep extra. And I always keep track of that because if I'm working or whatever, like the last couple of years I've been working, you're getting a nice day of sleep that day because you're getting that extra hour. But this day, like I just pay no attention to. I'm not gonna lie. But I was early.
Sure, man.
I also last week was our last couple classes before spring break started, and I'm pretty sure I failed my last exam, but it's okay. But then as I was walking or going leaving campus, right? I as I'm about to pull out of the yellow lot, right? I just
Mhm.
see four Jeeps in a row, right in front of me, like a Jeep 4x4. All of them just go past me, right? And then I noticed that in the back of one of them, there was just a baby, not in a car seat or anything, just walking around the back of the Jeep. And I just thought that was very strange.
That
Like
that
literally walking back and forth in the thing. Like that's how clear of a shot I got into the car that I was able to see that.
this is very loosely related, but somehow you saying that rem- reminded me, I saw on TikTok. Do you guys know how giraffes are transported? They are literally in a truck, standing up, and their neck is like all the it's like a skyscraper all the way up, and they could just see from like a overhead distance where the car is traveling to. I just I just thought that was interesting.
I've never seen giraffes, but when we were coming back from Atlantic City last time we went, uh, we like switched lanes, and then we all of a sudden we noticed we were behind a giant truck transporting maybe like 25 horses. So there was just like 25 horses, and they were all like, all of them were just sticking their heads out. So like, imagine like a bus, like like on like a school bus when like kids would just randomly like stick their head out the window, do some like stupid shit like that. Imagine that, but every single window was just a horse head like popping out on the highway.
Um,
It was just insane, honestly. But yeah,
so
Crazy.
so
go ahead, Moose or Alex.
Ariana Grande's album was just released. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, but I
Didn't
I
even
was
listen.
on TikTok, and I'm on TikTok a lot, but this year there's a lot of albums, from a lot of different people that are being released. Like I don't know what it is about this year. Maybe it's just like a few years after the pandemic. A lot of people are releasing. I have a whole list of like huge name artists that are releasing. So obviously Ariana Grande just released, Beyonce, Usher just released, Justin Timberlake, Taylor Swift, Cardi B, Ed Sheeran, Dua Lipa, Camila Cabello, Casey Musgraves, J Lo, and Shakira are all releasing albums this year. And I know most of these are pop, right? But these are like huge names, and the album of the year next year for the Grammys is going to be tough.
Not really. Do you think Usher's album is really gonna be an album of the year contender?
Yeah,
And
literally half of
Beyonce's
those
album,
names aren't gonna be in like I would be shocked if like Usher even gets consideration for a Grammy. That's not a song, like a single song. I'd be surprised if the album got any consideration for a Grammy.
Okay, but Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Dua Lipa are absolutely going to be there.
no. Beyonce is a country album. I don't think they're gonna put her into the regular album of the year contendership.
She's making a country album.
Last time I remember her single was country at least. I'm not sure exactly about the album, but she's been doing more country stuff.
Yeah, that's
Well,
kind of
album of the year doesn't necessarily mean pop.
I mean, it has the connotation of it being pop.
Okay, but it's not limited to pop.
But do you remember any like non-pop?
I don't remember Morgan
Like
Wallen ever winning album of the year.
Oh my god.
Morgan Wallen is like extremely like beloved in country.
Yeah, Beyonce also has the most amount of won Grammys ever. It's not like they're gonna overlook her album.
Well, we're not saying they're gonna overlook it, but we just don't think it's gonna be relevant in the album of the year. We'll probably
Uh,
like sweep for the country category, but
I
because
mean,
people,
I'm not fighting for Beyonce. I'm
I mean, you kind
just
of
saying
are.
there's a lot of heavy hitters.
You
And
kind of are, man.
Dua Lipa is a good artist. I like her music, but she's not on the level of Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift yet.
Was Ariana Grande's even good? All I saw about it was I got it put on my Spotify, and then I clicked on it. I scrolled down. It was 13 songs and 35 minutes long, and I was like, this is an extremely short album, and I didn't bother to listen to it. Was it even good?
I thought it was good, and I think it's received a lot of good feedback so far. But yeah, it's definitely short. I don't think any song is over 3 minutes.
Wow, that is insanity. Oh, wait, quick sidebar. Uh,
Mhm.
you guys both know who French Montana is?
Oh my god,
Uh,
people listen to him.
No, but that's part of like the whole meme of him. But he dropped an album, right? 125 songs in one album.
Um,
oh
You know
my
why? He
god.
put like a like slowed down version, acoustic version, a cappella version, like a bunch of like
uh,
4 remixes for each song and released them all at the same time in one album. And people don't even listen to the original song. So what makes you think they're going to listen to the a cappella version of your terrible music?
I think people just do that just to get slightly more streams and slightly more money because maybe there's like a few people that listen to it, but it probably doesn't cost them that much just to release it because they're just doing the background or whatever it is. They're literally just taking the slider and moving it up 1.25 speed. So probably just money.
That's fair.
Okay, so nothing really much has been happening that I want to talk on the podcast besides me not getting much sleep and realizing that I'm getting way too fucking old. Um, but
I'm
yesterday, what are you saying what to?
realizing that
Is
you're
it
getting old.
yeah, because before I was able to like stay up without much of an issue, and now I can't. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
bro. This doesn't. Well, Coop is different right now. You definitely sound off.
I mean, I sound off.
Yeah,
Well,
you sound like you're sick.
I'm not sick, I can tell you that. But I was at a competition yesterday. I guess I was screaming at like the end, so my voice is a little bit hoarse, but I'm not
Okay.
sick. Anyways, in other news, I am quite sad these past couple of weeks because my childhood hero, someone that I've watched for 12, 11 years, I don't remember, is now finally retiring. For those who don't know, Matthew Patrick of the Game Theorist, otherwise known as MatPat, is now retiring, and he is now, what is it? I think he's one of the first big YouTubers to retire, but like he's come after like a long line of other YouTubers also retiring. And so what his retirement has done is have people question the entire landscape of content creation as it's now entering a new facet and new fold of it being a career. Because before you just sort of do content creation, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, until you die, but now, or canceled, whichever comes first. But now it's people doing this stuff until they're in a comfortable enough position to retire. So, what is your guys' opinion on that and how it's changing?
Um, I think with content creation, now, especially with kids, a lot of people want to aspire to be content creators, and that's like a really popular thing. Is that you don't want to have to work a 9 to 5 job. It seems like so easy where if you could just stream for 8 hours, just like doing video games or doing whatever you love, it seems like it's really good. But I think with content creation now, it's a lot more demanding in terms of editing, producing, preparing. Like it's not necessarily just playing the video game or doing the playing doing talking or doing whatever your content is. There's a lot more of the behind the scenes work that you need to do. And I don't think a lot of people like to do that. And so they might outsource it to a third party. And then that's where I feel like it loses the authenticity of it. So I think that's where people could be talking about where the content creation is shifting because people's demand and their attention spans are lowering. So you can't just have it where you just turn on your camera and start talking. There's a lot more effort that has to be put into it. I'm not sure how are you saying this guy retiring is like changing the scope of things, or are you just saying he's the result of the scene changing? Like I'm not sure he's making a huge cultural impact in the content creation world just by him retiring.
No, he's not making it. Him retiring is like sad, but it's not like making a huge impact. It's a symptom of what people are calling is a larger issue with or issue in air quotes because I don't necessarily think it's an issue of how content creation is changing. Because before you did not hear often that content creators retire. Like that's not a thing really in general. They take breaks, they get canceled, they lose a lot of their audience, but they don't retire. It's like the first time that
Yeah.
someone's just actually just retiring from everything.
And I think maybe people are upset about that because they're either one jealous that content creation can get you that rich and successful, But also, retiring from content creation is a huge risk because when you're doing content creation, that's not really something that can be easily transferable, especially if you're an entertainer. If you're doing content, people go to you for that content and that content alone. That's why you see a lot of times if it's some YouTuber wants to branch out and do something different, they won't get as many views because they built up an audience just doing that one thing that they've always done. So by retiring, like you might be really successful. It's a big risk to take that because you're basically set for the rest of your life. There's nothing else that you can really do unless you start over and go to college or just do a regular 9 to 5 job because that job isn't easily transferable. So I have a feeling that people are just jealous that you can get to that level of fame and also worried possibly that they'll be good after.
I mean, the way I see it though is like it's sort of like, and this was a comparison that was going around. It's like sort of like Steve from Blue's Clues. I'm not sure if you guys watched Blue's Clues, actually.
I did, but I don't know where you're going with this, but I did watch
So,
Blues.
so the point is that like these content creators, they're sort of like a fixture in people's lives. Like everything in the world changes, but you can always go to that person's channel and go like, oh well, that person's still there. I can still watch their content that's still coming out because they're sort of like a rock that you can hold on to. But now that you know that that rock is not as stable as you first thought, it sort of shakes the foundation, if that makes sense. Like change. People are just afraid of change, is what I'm saying. Anyways,
But do you
Goob, you were gonna
think
make
it?
a point.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, I mean, I don't really care if somebody chooses to retire from content creation because they're financially set. Because if you think about it, like, if any of us three were working a job that, like, let's say, like Moose, we'll take Moose as an example. Moose's job starts paying him like triple what he earns in a year, right? And he can retire at like the age of like 30 because he just has so much money. Like obviously you're gonna consider that because like you don't really need to work anymore. Obviously, like you might want to keep going just because of like your own personal thing. But if like your main goal of working a job was money and you get enough money to retire or do something like that, I wouldn't care if they retired for that reason. But for people to like retire for like any other reason other than like maybe like I don't know, maybe like I've seen like people that like do like vlogs or something like that, like if they just have the camera on them like 24/7, I could understand how that gets like tiring, but like making video it's really not that hard of a job. So like for me it's like as long as you are entertaining and you have an audience, I would just keep going unless it's like actually starting to affect you like physically or mentally, like you literally cannot deal with it.
So have you guys ever heard of Jack Doherty, the YouTuber?
I hate that kid so much, bro. If I saw him, I would smack the shit out of him.
Basically, he's like this 18-year-old or 20-year-old kid that has been doing YouTube for a while, but most of his content is literally just going in public and aggravating people. And it's a thing that I feel like has grown within the past few years. He basically just has a security team around him and just goes out and just aggravates, irritates people, provokes them, and then whenever they try to like go back at him or tries to like match his energy, then his security steps in and like blocks him out. And a bunch of people hate him, but he's very much successful. He has multiple mansions and he's doing really well for himself because this content is working and it's just rage bait basically. And yeah, see, Neon is another example of that. Fousey Tube, Aiden Ross, maybe to a lesser extent, but these people just do content either just completely making fun of themselves or irritating other people. And it's something that clearly is just being done for money. But it's losing all self-respect for yourself entirely. And I think Jack Doherty is actually facing a lawsuit for his security literally knocking someone out. Yeah, sued for assault and battery over Halloween knockout. Even though it's not honest, he didn't knock anyone out. His security did, and he allowed them to.
Bro, like all those YouTubers or all those streamers that you just named, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I can't watch any of these like popular streamers that are out right. Like Aiden Ross, I don't watch him. Like Speed. No, Neon, I cannot stand. Like all of that because I feel like there's no entertainment value in what they make. They don't do anything clever. They don't do anything that's like interesting. Like the YouTubers that I like grew up watching or like the content creators that I grew up watching actually had something like interesting to them or they were just doing something that like let's say if I'm watching like someone that plays like Madden or something, right? That's just because I like the game. But then any other YouTuber besides that was because of all the like value that they're actually like
Their
putting into
personality, their
yeah,
humor.
yeah, like but there's actual value that they're adding to the content they're already making. Like it's not just like that rage bait like garbage. Like I feel like bro, Aiden Ross's streams, the whole premise of the stream is to get somebody famous on the stream and that's it. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing, literally nothing special. I'll give it to him. He can get like, he's gotten big enough to he can get famous people. But like now, literally all he does is what call like a rapper to his house, and then they just sit there and talk about
Yeah.
the guy being
So,
like.
I mean, I think most of these people's content is generally meant for kids, or at least Gen Alpha. So that's probably why you're not too interested into it in it, and I'm not either. But there is something to be said about there's probably a lot of people that are now looking up to these people either as role models, which would be bad, or as saying, "Wow, like if this guy can make this guy can be really successful just by doing completely stupid degenerate things, then maybe I could too." And then that's where you get into the fact is like you should never do content creation for the money because it's so little people are actually successful by doing content creation and you should actually do it for the passion. But I feel like these YouTubers are inspiring people to do it because of the money or because of the fame.
Have you
I
guys
mean,
ever watched anything from the Pauls?
Yeah, they're another example.
no, I mean, I've like, I remember that one time, like, what's it called? Jake Paul, I think, like, burned like a mattress or something in his like backyard, and that was like it's something that caused like all the neighbors to like go crazy. So I like just wanted to see what he did. And then I clicked on the video and I started watching and like I swore like my brain was literally melting away. Like it was like part of it was disintegrating as I watched it. I don't know how people watched any of that.
Yeah, and these YouTubers do like 24-hour streams. Like I could just cannot imagine. Obviously, no one's doing it for all 20. No one's watching for all 24 hours. But I just cannot imagine tuning in for like 4 hours, even at that, just watching this guy live his life or doing whatever it is that they're doing.
And have you seen Fusi Tubes like 24-hour streams, bro? The best part
No.
about it, the best part about it is FouseyTube is literally like it's the only reason it's really popular is because this dude is dead ass like manic and he just streams 24 hours a day. So you're literally watching a guy who's losing his mind in front of the internet. Like he's just doing this for everybody to see. And there's like all these like crazy clips of him like doing stupid shit on the stream. Like literally the one that I've seen that was hilarious was he's sitting in the middle of like an airport lounge, and then he just says, "Bitch, I'm about to blow up."
Oh,
And then he starts looking around. He's like, "It's a J Cole song. It's a J Cole song." It's like, bro, what is wrong with you? What is actually wrong with you?
I don't get it.
It's so funny. But Moose, what were you saying about the Pauls?
My point was gonna be is that like I feel like at least Logan, I have zero clue about Jake. I don't care to know about Jake. But Logan, at least, I feel has sort of transition of I'm here to be successful to now I'm just doing it because I can do it. Because he doesn't need to do any of the content creation that he does, like impulsive or anything he does on the YouTube channel, but he still does it.
I mean, I think he just like for Logan is like all of the stuff that he does. He like is a very like big picture kind of dude. Like I think he kind of just realizes that like he could keep a podcast because like well, he's been doing the podcast for a while now, but also like he doesn't really need to do the podcast anymore. Like pros in the WWE, like he has a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
going on. But I feel like he just thinks like if like I could go in his head for a second, I'd be like, I've got to just keep all the things that I'm doing right now going steady and going good, just in case something happens. This, like just to have some sort of outlet to like, or and he also might even be looking at like other people like Joe Rogan or something like Joe Rogan's podcast is like his thing, but like Logan just tries to like go into a field and just like try to dominate it. That's what like his main
Well,
goal is.
I haven't really listened to Impulsive at all, but it sounds like is he not doing it because he's genuinely passionate about it? Is he just doing it just try to stay relevant?
No, I mean he probably. I mean it's not gonna be hard to
Mm.
like make it like uh, it's not hard for him to make it seem like he's passionate because the real way to know whether you're passionate about like a podcast is how it goes like when you have no guests and they just have guests all the time. If you have a guest, it's really easy. Think about it like the guests that they get, like if you get like someone like Shaquille O'Neal, you could just ask him questions the whole time. So I don't really think it's hard for it to show passion in his sort of podcast once you reach like a certain stage. But I think it's because he's just trying to stay relevant. To be honest, that's my take on it. Because bro, he's like he makes so much money from everything else. Like literally,
So
like
this also sorry. This also reminds me of you guys know who Bobby Altoff is?
you mean the industry plant that fell off?
Y- yeah, so that's the thing is that a bunch of people think that she's just an industry plant, and one of the main reasons for that is that she had huge names come on her podcast. The main one being Drake. Drake, who like never does podcasts and never goes on people's shows and really never talks to anyone besides just make music. He doesn't even go on stuff like SNL or anything. He went on this random girl's podcast within maybe a month of her starting it. So that's why people think she's an industry plant. I think there is probably some evidence to back it up with like her family being connected to these ties. But again, this is probably not authentic to her. Or maybe it is, but to everybody else it just seems completely inauthentic because you're just doing it for the views. You're only having these guests for the views, and obviously these are huge, big name guests, but no one's really listening anymore.
She's the woman
Okay.
who stole Zach Galifianakis's whole thing, his whole talk show.
What do you mean?
Zach
What do you
Galifianakis.
mean
So
she
you
stole?
probably won't know who he is, but have you
I mean,
seen?
I've heard the
You've
name.
probably seen clips. You've probably seen the clip of between two ferns, where he
Yes.
basically takes on guests and insults them for like an hour,
Wait,
and that's what Bobby Altoff
you
does on her
name?
podcast.
Yes, I have seen him. Then I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but no, bro, Bobby just sits there and is like extremely dry, and for some reason, people find it entertaining. Like she's just a super awkward, like
Yeah, well,
moron.
it's like the dry humor. It's supposed to be
I don't
funny.
understand the humor though. I literally don't. I don't understand it at all. Like I remember I like podcasts where like I watch podcasts for two reasons. F and then the other one is just to learn about different things. So like Joe Rogan podcast with certain guests will all be about learning because like he'll get like some extremely intelligent person from a certain field and then
Neil
you just
deGrasse
listen to them.
Tyson.
Yeah. Like he's done that. He's had like Brian Cox on there and then like a bunch of like super geniuses, right? Elon, but then the other ones are like him and other fighters that are just like extremely like wasted, just going at it and arguing, and it's hilarious. Hers is just her sitting there, and they say something, and then she just gives some stupid dry response, and people like eat that shit up like it's actually entertaining. Like, no, that shit is garbage.
Joe Rogan has 2,116 episodes. Fucking nuts.
That's his thing, though, bro. The podcast, that's his thing. Have you ever listened to an episode, Alex, of the Joe
No, I
Rogan
have.
Experience?
I have.
Okay, I was gonna say it's like literally the number one podcast or number two behind us, obviously, but number two podcast in
True.
the world.
Exactly.
We got to get Joe Rogan to be a guest on our podcast.
I don't really like helping smaller creators though.
I know, it's just so desperate to get on Moose shit. It's ridiculous. So, Moose, would you rather be like a content creator and make like yearly salary would be 150,000? Would you take half of that to be a content creator?
I probably would still go with like content creation because it does like open up my schedule. Like if I wanted to, then I can just take on like a part-time job or anything like that. You can't really do that with a full-time job. And I'm my own boss. Like this thing about Hassan Piker when he was on his stream and he was complaining about content creation. And I know it was taken out of context, but I want to talk about the point that he made, which was, oh, well, content creation is like way harder because I have to stay on the entire time. And then when I get off of like a 10, 12 hour stream, I just can't have a conversation with anyone for the rest of the day or anything like that. Um, and that blew up because everyone on Twitter got clips of it and everything. It was like, well, I can't believe this guy's complaining about him having a job where all he does is just yap and is just having a 12-hour yap session. And I get the point that he's making that, like, if say you're a chef and you're cooking for 10 hours a day, you don't want to look at another piece of food when you get home. But the difference between like an actual job, like a 9 to 5 job, and what Hassan Piker or any other content creator does is that if they don't want to yap for 10 to 12 hours a day, they don't have to. No one's putting a gun to their head. They're not going to be fired. Nothing's going to happen if they decided not to go on to a stream that day.
I I wouldn't I wouldn't say that's completely true. So for context, Hassan streams like 8 to 12 hours each day streaming political stuff, which is already mentally draining, right? But I'm pretty sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that he is under some contract with Twitch where he has to stream a certain amount of hours per day or per week. And I'm pretty sure that's how most streaming platforms are, is that if you go into a contract or if you become big enough, you have to stream a certain amount so that advertisers can get their share of revenue or however it is. So in that way, it's similar in that you do have to clock in every single day to this job. Is it Can it be seen as easier? I would say it is probably easier because there are a lot of jobs like construction workers that are physically draining or but this is just different in that it's mentally draining and he got a lot of hate for it, but it's almost like he's literally speaking every single day and I get the point that he was making. Like I guess I'm unsure why it got so much hate because he is under some contract just like everybody else.
I'm not gonna lie. I
Jesus.
feel like it'd be very easy for him to like for him specifically, right? Like you're a guy that makes like political, like opinionated videos. Would it not be easy for him to just shift from being a streamer to just being a YouTuber? I feel like that'd be a very easy transition because I mean, unless you really want to be that up to date on news and be like reporting stuff like the literal second you see it. I don't really know. All I know is that he talks about like
Policy.
political events. I don't really know the format of any of like how he does it or what he says or anything like that. But like I feel like he could just become a YouTuber if he's really like drained out by it.
So, couple of things. I don't think he wants to become a YouTuber because YouTube has sort of like different bars of stuff that you have to be able to do. You have to be able to edit if you're on YouTube. If you're not capable of editing, which a lot of people aren't, you're not really fitted for YouTube. So,
But doesn't he have
also
enough
YouTube.
money? Like he has enough money to just pay an editor. I feel like he probably has like people that work for him, like at least one person that works for him anyway, just to do
Yeah,
like day to day stuff. Like he could probably just hire an editor. I don't think it'd be too much.
probably. But like also with
An issue.
YouTube, you're only playing off of yourself. You're talking to yourself. With Twitch, you are still talking to like the chat. So you have other places to get content, right?
Oh, that's
Another thing. Um, Hassan's not allowed to leave Twitch. That's what his contract is. It's not that he has to make certain amount of content units per annual whatever. He just has to remain on Twitch and is not allowed to post on YouTube or any other competitor. That's what his
yeah,
contract
Alex.
is about.
Yeah, Alex, you idiot.
Uh, um,
Stupid.
I didn't know that. I mean, that does sort of change my opinion. I think it was a little disingenuous to, not disingenuous. It's not. Oh, insensitive. That's the word. It's a little bit insensitive to say that to a bunch of people who are probably working draining 9 to 5 jobs. Anyways, the last thing I wanted to speak about is that I don't want to bring Taylor Swift again. Okay, but
Yes,
it's it.
yes, yes,
Listen,
Oh my
yes.
god.
she's just
Wait,
like
before we translate to, or transition to this fucking shitty point you're about to make about her, back to the Hassan thing. I don't know. Have you guys seen like those what is it, like those Jubilee videos? You know, like the ones where they just get like 5 people and they like have to like do
yeah.
some, or they're, like talking about something like that. And I
Mhm.
saw like one thing and it was like 6 content, or it was like there's 5 content creators and then there's one fake, right? And then they're like, give
Uh,
like, and then they asked them, there's like, what does a typical day of work look like for you? Like, how much hours are you working? And then one of the girls just says, yeah, I work like 18 hours a day. Like, I just wake up and immediately I'm going into like she counts thinking about videos, like while she does like other things as working. And she was being dead serious. She's like, yeah, and it's so mentally draining to work 18 hours a day for 4 or 5 days in a row.
Now let's be fair. Sometimes thinking about video topics is draining. You can ask Al about that.
No, I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, like, would you consider that as like work?
Oh,
She's counting that
absolutely.
as like an hour of work. Like, she's considering it as that.
If she's working by herself and she's a one person adventure, then that's not work. If she has
I'm
to run that by other people, then that's work. That's how I
Bro,
see
she
it.
literally was trying to make it seem like she said, I work like 80 hours a week. Like, bro, you post TikTok videos. Like, if you're working 80 hours a week making TikTok videos and you're not like fucking the number one person on the app, then you need a serious life evaluation. Because that's fucking sad.
can I say my point about Taylor Swift?
Go ahead.
Yes,
All right.
yes, yes,
Shut
yes.
up, Moose. You're fucking gay.
Okay. So, so it was actually one of these Jubilee videos that I found it, but it was basically like 5 Taylor Swift fans versus one hater, right? And so they were going through it was like really odd to see the level of standum that Taylor Swift has. They were going on like, oh, what are their pets' names, or what's her like middle name, or like what were her lyrics in this album? Is like very, very niche stuff that you would only know if you're basically a stalker of her. And these people knew it. But one of the last points that they made was, oh, no, what they ended up finding out the hater, Taylor Swift hater, and they voted him out. And then at the end, he was saying why he was a Taylor Swift hater. And one of the main points that he brought up was that she has not spoken on the Israel Palestine conflict. And I wanted to know what your thoughts are on, because obviously Taylor Swift is has a huge amount of impact and influence as such a huge pop star, and she hadn't spoken about Israel Palestine. She may have spoken about other political issues, but not this. Do you feel that because of her fame and level of influence, that she's obligated to speak on these political topics?
I mean, you can't, she's not obligated to. Whether you think she should is a different question, but you can't say she's obligated to, because that kind of implies like there's like some sort of responsibility. Like, there is a
Like
responsibility
morally
for.
obligated, like she should, or she's less of a good person if she doesn't.
I mean, she literally. First of all, Taylor Swift is not a good person, bro. Have you not seen the fucking? I sent you the fucking Twitter page. I'm pretty sure of her fucking carbon emissions on her fucking 30-minute private jet flights that would be shorter to just drive. Like, she takes her private jet from one place in a state to like 2 towns over because she's too good to get in a car. Like it's ridiculous. But also, she chooses to like I've seen that she posts like just like to vote, like not like to vote for a specific candidate, but like to go out and vote, right?
Mhm.
So like that's not like overly political, but she clearly just doesn't want to comment on the Israel Palestine thing because there is going to be some sort of like bounce back onto her in her actual career. Like something will happen to her career either way she makes a comment.
So I am a little bit nuanced in all of this. And my point in all of it is like I don't expect her to. The same way, what is my point? So I don't expect her to talk about Burma. I don't expect her to talk about what's happening in Hong Kong, in Taiwan. I don't expect her to talk about what's happening in Uyghur. I don't expect her to talk about what's happening in Kashmir. I don't expect her to talk about what's happening in Sudan. The same way, I don't expect her to talk about what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Palestine. Okay, there's so much her to touch upon every single thing, every single time. Okay, she had whether or not she chooses to, that's up to her and her own personal things. The main point of the Palestine thing is like I just hope she doesn't come out in support of Israel. But beyond that, I don't go like she's a terrible human being because she didn't speak upon some sort of issue.
I mean,
It's not like
that's a
really her
valid.
job.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. I think she's a bad person because she just takes her private jet from fucking point A to point B when it's fucking 30 minutes away. But also, I just have a fucking bias against her. You guys both know that. But also that like she doesn't have to. Why does anybody look to a fucking like pop artist for an opinion on like a global conflict? Like you're looking at the wrong person. Like even if
Yeah,
she does say something, why would it matter?
and it's not just her. That's why it was the whole topic is really content creation in general because I remember this happened during
But
2020.
why could you not bring up any other celebrity, bro?
Well, I could bring up Charlie D'Amelio when she first and during the whole like during the riots of during 2020 with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, she came on her TikTok and said it is totally not fair what is happening right now and it's completely unjust. And then she changed her profile to picture it to Black Lives Matter and everything. And like yes, she does have the influence and she does have a lot of followers and she does have a big impact if she says something and it'll have a big message. But everybody hated it because it never seemed genuine. And I think that conversation is like people hold a lot of the times celebrities or content creators to a higher standard than they would their own politicians. And that nobody is going and saying, at least to the extent why these congressmen and these people in Supreme Court or whatever are is not going after this issue as fast, or how we still haven't gotten like college debt relief or from Joe Biden yet after 3.5 years that he's been in office. People aren't. I feel like people aren't as hard about going after politicians as they are going at celebrities for not talking about these topics that they have no
People
obligation to speak on.
People complain so much about how Logan Paul scams his viewers, and he might. I don't care. But like our current politicians, people in Congress are able to trade stocks while knowing what's happening with those companies because they're the ones ruling on them. So I just don't understand. You like hit the nail on the head. This double standard between politicians, the people that we actually like vote to govern. Meanwhile, pop stars who just so happen to get big.
I
Yeah,
think the difference is people don't really people don't identify themselves with like congressmen or like any politicians, but like because and they don't look up to politicians like well they do in the sense of like you have like a title, so like clearly like you are a congressman, so like you do have some sort of like importance in like the whole big system, but like people genuinely look up to like their favorite content creators. So when they do something like Logan Paul's scam or whatever the hell like happened, like people look at that and get on him because, and then again, like he is wrong, but the only reason he gets so much shit for it and the congressmen don't is because the people that are like getting mad at him had the light on him to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're focused in on him. So when you catch, like, imagine pointing a flashlight at someone and then you see them do something wrong versus someone that's like right next to them that the light is not on doing the same exact thing, but you just can't see it. So it's literally like that. Like Logan
Mhm.
Paul is just fucking up and everybody is watching for it when congressmen, nobody is looking for what the congressmen are doing, like the backhanded, like trading stocks, whatever. Like people aren't looking for that, but like they know it's gonna happen.
It's just unfortunate that these people they have so clearly have a lot of passion and that they want their favorite creators and celebrities to speak up on topics that they're also passionate about, but they're just directing that passion to the wrong place because this person is making a TikTok or this person is making a pop song. They're not changing the world. That's not their role.
It's unreasonable expectations, but they're like that's just what it is, bro. Like people just fucking expect that. Like why do people have expectations that any content creator has to make a comment about, like, unless you're someone like Hassan who's like that is your thing. Like you have to share an opinion on that because you are a political based like commentator on Twitch, right? So you have to comment on that. But if you're like someone like Taylor Swift or like fucking I don't know anybody like that, like why do we need your opinion on
Yeah.
whether Palestine is right or whether fucking Israel is right?
Okay, that's pretty much all that I have for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Please go ahead and give us a like and subscribe or do whatever the fuck that you want. I really don't give a shit. I probably aren't even watching anymore.
What
See
the
ya.
hell,
Thank you.
man?
He gets more
What?
aggressive every single time. I don't
I know,
understand.
making me very uncomfortable, bro. That was very aggressive.
Whatever. They can fuck off now. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye.